Get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a replay of mine. This is a fairly recent one, and it's the KV-13, which is not a tank you see very much. I've been playing it a bit more recently. I've had it in my garage for a while, but I've been playing it a bit more recently because I've been trying to get a replay suitable for a review. Instead, this match happened, and as is so often the case, you never really can quite plan for these things. That's the difficulty with reviews. You just have to play the tank you want over and over and over again until you get the one that is just the thing that you want, that shows just the things that you want. This was not it. I'm going to do an unusual thing here. I'm going to show you the first score screen anyway. And normally I wait till, after the match is finished, but no, I'm going to show you this at the start because it kind of ties in with what I'm going to say. Now, as you can see here, Ace Tanker Game, okay, Delanglade's Medal, okay, Steel Wall, Spartan, Cool-Headed, and High Caliber. That's a pretty nice collection of medals, right? I must have played really well in this battle, right? Well, let's actually watch the replay, see what actually happened. So, if we just unpause that. So, the KV-13, it is the other tier 7 medium that the Russians get. You don't see it very often because it's in an odd place on the tech tree. It kind of jumps over from the heavy line to the medium line. It's not a long grind from this to the T43 either. Once you've gotten this from, I think it's the IS, the jump to the T43 is not that much XP on top of it. So people who are making that jump probably aren't going to stick around with this thing. I kept it initially intending to do just that, to jump onto that Russian medium branch, and then decided I actually wasn't that interested in Russian mediums. So this is just kind of sat around in my garage, but because it's a lesser seen one, I thought I'll hang on to it and maybe eventually do a replay on it as well, because it is a lesser seen one and it's somewhat interesting. It's not the best tier 7 medium by any means. The gun is probably on a par with a lot of them. It's, I think, 144 pen, but it's got 180 alpha, so that's nice. The accuracy is not brilliant. The gun handling generally is not brilliant. I think it's something like 2.3 second aim time, which is not awful, but it's really not that great. And lastly, the thing that does make it kind of mediocre above all else is the gun depression. It's really not particularly great. But if you're going to play Russian mediums, I guess you'd better get used to that gun depression or lack thereof. It does at least have, in theory, fairly decent armor. It's got the same armor, or the same given armor values as the IS for the front and sides. So it's reasonably bouncy. Otherwise, it's not that special. Apart from its rarity, I think the rarity is more due to its placement on the tech tree than anything else. Apart from its rarity, there's not really that much interesting about it. So, I've spotted a couple of things I can actually shoot at. I decided to go here because normally I go to the 890 line. And the fact that I don't have much gun depression to work with, the fact that I'm playing alone as well, because if I was in a platoon, I think we would definitely go to the 890 line, because you can, as a platoon, you can do a lot on that flank. But as a single player, I felt in this tank it was more appropriate to go here. And I kind of wanted to talk a bit about that as well, because I feel like I've been playing less well recently, and I know some of that will have been to do with the gap that I had, but also just generally for the last couple of, I don't know, months, I guess. And maybe it's because I have increasingly just been playing in platoons. So I'm now going out of my way to play. I'm obviously not going to stop playing with Circle and Foch because I really like playing with those guys. And the other people I platoon with on occasion as well. But I'm going to make more of an effort to play more solo matches in a day, because I feel like playing in a platoon is quite a different experience. You're operating together as a unit, but also when you're playing together with like Circon and Foch, who are very, very good players, it's easy to end up not playing at your best, because for me anyway, I feel like I end up playing a very supporting role to those guys. And I sometimes have really good matches myself, but it tends to be more that I'm supporting them in whatever they're doing. So let's have the M10. Yeah, I just bounced on the side of that. Yeah, okay. So, if I play... My theory is if I play a bit more solo, then I ought to refresh those skills that I do know that I have. And maybe that'll make me then a better platoon player as well. So anyway, back to the match at hand. I know that Churchill 7, I didn't have a silhouette, but I thought I could get the side of his turret. It missed anyway. Like I said, it's not a terribly accurate gun, this. And the relative lack of accuracy combined with the long-ish, for a medium, it feels long-ish anyway, aim time. I don't know, it feels like an awkward tank, this, to me. But the mobility is alright at least. Now, there's a bunch of stuff on the one line. I don't really want to be here where I can get shot in the side. So I'm going to fall back and try and work around the other side of the hill. We've got an M6 near the spawn who has done nothing but sit that back there and snipe. He is not being a useful team player. He's being a bit of a drag on the team, but at least he's only in an M6. It's only one tier 6. It's not a tier 7 or anything like that. And that was not terribly well. And this one, I did show you that score screen for a reason. I mean, that was a nice high damage count, right? Nearly 2,900 damage, and I had a high caliber medal, right? And yeah, I don't know what it was. I mean, some days I play better than others, but on this particular day, even though this result is really good, the number of shots I flub, and some of them are RNG, but most of the ones that don't do what I want them to are because I'm not aiming very well. So let's have a little think to yourself now. Like that one there, for instance, I fire at his angled front armour, and yes, that's kind of okay. Maybe I'm being a bit critical of myself there, but he was. I don't know. I feel like I could have aimed that better. Anyway, suddenly I realised 6-9. I am alone near the cap now. Everyone else around me is dead. That M6 was about as useless as expected. But the guys that were on the 890 flank, they won that flank because they weren't facing that much opposition. I say not that much, but they've still taken out a few tanks. But they are now coming towards the cap, and I realise, actually, no, I do have to try and do something here. And if I can light up some targets, if I can get in the cap. So there's the enemy KV-13. I took a hit from him. Fortunately, the KV-1S only tracked me, but that meant the KV-13 could hurt me again. So I'm going to use this friendly tank here as cover. And the KV-1S is actually being... He was the one I was worried about, but he was hiding behind the looks of crying out loud. Now, I was feeling the pressure a bit here. I do flub some of these shots quite badly. I mean, I should have killed this KV-13 so much earlier. And I do finally... The KV-1S actually bounces. So that's what I was saying about the armor on this thing is actually reasonable. It's one of the few things that it really does have going for it. That and the reasonably high alpha as well. But this is... I mean, when I say... This is basically the gun that the Su-85 gets with worse gun handling, so it's not like it's a especially brilliant gun. So there we go, Churchill 7, he actually might be tough for this particular gun. It depends how well he angles, depends how well he knows his tank. That one, again, I was just rushing so many shots here. I'm down to 16 AP already, and that's largely because I've just been aiming so badly. And I've gotten fairly lucky in that enough of them have connected that I've actually done a reasonable amount of damage. But, yeah. Now the Churchill 7 there, I hit him where I thought... I mean, that one... The one that bounced was annoying. I really would have liked that to have not bounced. But I am still improbably alive. And there's an E25 who's going for it, but I see him coming. I am able to reload quite fast enough, and somehow I am alive at the end of this. And yeah, mostly it was that KV-13 that did damage to me there, but still, this was kind of silly. So APCR round. I know I don't really have time to sit and aim this very well. I'm kind of having to rush these shots. I was a bit worried about that guy. He gets taken down. Fortunately, I bounced the Churchill, and then the Churchill dies. And now we're just down to this AC-46. So this got a bit hectic in the second half, and I don't know, my reflexes, I don't know what you want to call it, but that accumulated body of skill that I've picked up in the 2 years I've been playing World of Tanks. I don't even know how long it's been. That kind of kept me alive through that, but that really wasn't conscious. That was kind of like part instinct, part luck. And I need to get back to more thinking about what I do in matches, because in combination with playing platoons a lot with people, I think I've also come to just rely on my kind of instincts a lot, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, if you're a really, really good player, then that's what if you're having to sit and think about every decision, then obviously that's going to get you killed really often. But there are still a lot of things that you do have to think about, not necessarily like right in the heat of engagement, but things like where you're going to go on a map, or which targets you're going to shoot at, or I don't know, there's a whole myriad, however you say that word, of stuff to think about when you're playing this game. And I kind of feel like I've gotten a bit lazy in some ways, that a lot of time I don't know what to do, so I just kind of wing it and rely on my meager skills to take me through. And in that case, it did. I mean, De Langlade's medal, I don't have many of those. The steel ball's not bad for a medium tank. The high caliber's definitely not bad. Being top tier helped. And the fact that there were some particularly lackluster team players on the team as well, again, helped. A lot of the players didn't do all that much. In fact, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. So a third of the team did over 1k damage, and 10 people did less than 1k. In fact, the only person that came close to doing that was the KV-1S, and the rest were all less than 500 damage. So that let me pick up a bunch of damage. That let me do nearly 2900. And I think this was my actual ace tanker. I don't think I'd had it before now, because I haven't played this that much. But even so, I cannot claim that that was a particularly well played match. I had a lot of luck there, and there was some faffing. There was some definite noobish play in terms of just not aiming very well, not particularly paying attention to the situation as it was going on around me, because it was only that point where I really pointed it out in the replay that, hey look, I'm alone here. That was when I noticed it in the match as well. I was so kind of, I know tunnel visioning is kind of easy at the best of times, or it can be easy at the best of times, but looking at the minimap, remembering to look at the minimap just every so often, like even if it's only every 10 seconds or so, instead of just completely fixating on what's in front of you, that can be the difference between life and death. That can be the difference between a win and a defeat. So I don't know, I feel like I need to be a bit more conscious about what I'm doing in World of Tanks, because I feel like my gameplay just generally has been suffering a bit, and that's not particularly good for the channel, because it means less good games to show you guys and gals. So, even just on that score, I need to up my game a bit, or at least have a go. So, this was a bit navel-gazy, I suppose, but hopefully you enjoyed it all the same. And I know it's not a very often seen tank, the KV-13, so, maybe a bit of novelty factor there. Who knows? We'll see what the views for this video are like. So, as per usual, you can hit the like button, you can subscribe to my channel, you can leave any comments below, you can check out my other videos, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.